Good evening. It's great just to join together, isn't it, for a carol service and to sing together. And carols are incredible. David and I were having a bit of a chat at the start, just wishing each other good luck, because it is definitely the trickiest guitar night of the entire year. Chord changes flying around all over the place. But it's great to join together and to worship God together and to remember the reason for the season. Ivan called me last week, and Ivan and I would be on the phone quite a bit. Usually me pestering him for something, but he began with the usual kind of Northern Irish openers about weather and life. But gradually, as the conversation went on, I thought, oh, what's this about? And I could sense so he's shifting the conversation happening. And I knew where it was going, because Ivan has this, I don't know if he realises this, he has this way of kind of culminating the conversation with, look, I was just wondering if a good man, and the minute he says good man, I know, a good man like yourself would want to, and then you can just insert the request here, whatever it might be. So Ivan had asked me if I could deliver a quick thought at this year's carol service. And the moment he asked that, I felt a genuine excitement. What a privilege it is to stand at the front here. What an opportunity to share the reason for the season. However, if I'm being honest, there's also mixed in with that an acute feeling of panic. Just prior to Ivan's call, Rebecca and I had sat down and looked at our family calendar. And for us, as we looked at the calendar, perhaps it's the same in your house, we had basically got every single minute leading up to tonight and on towards the 25th of December, I can see a few nodding heads, just jam-packed. The calendar is consumed with the last week of an awful lot of work deadlines. The final week before Christmas for any teacher is it is, I think, the most intense week of the year. Family commitments, and then fixing things around the house. You know what I'm talking about. I was going to say men, but perhaps women as well. So guests, so that guests who arrive at your home this Christmas can be deceived into believing that your home, or our home, a home of five, is actually always pristine, the pristine gallery of tidy things left exactly and precisely where they're meant to be. And that is what the visitors will believe, provided they don't watch this video. And so I replied to Ivan, actually rather uncertainly, with a bit of I'm pretty busy. Leave it with me, I'll let you know. Now, you'll not quite believe this, but in the end I actually did say yes. I found myself questioning, does everything on our calendar actually need to be done? And also, what can be more important? It questioned me, Ivan asking me to do this, it questioned me to allocate my time and my energy to what matters most. And a big question that kind of landed squarely with me was I willing to sacrifice my wants and desires? Moreover, what or who should I want and desire the most? And all of this got me thinking about prioritizing and sacrificing things that we hold on to, and how sacrifice, that word is key tonight, how sacrifice fits into the nativity narrative. As I chat with others about Jesus, I'm sure if you're a Christian you do the same, you can't help yourself. As I chat to others about Jesus in conversations, and it boils down to it, and we get to the point of, well, would you consider Jesus? I am increasingly convinced that the leading reason for non-believers rejecting Jesus is actually around self-sacrifice. There are so many alluring idols in this generation, in the world we live in, and giving them up seems too much, too hard, or simply not worth it. Some of these idols are obviously bad things, but others are actually good things. The problem arises when those good things become God things, and they become all-consuming and number one in our life. And by contrast to these idols, Christianity can seem burdensome, restricting and time-consuming. And so there is no desire to actually seriously ask the question, do I want to become a Christian? Because I just don't want any hassle. I don't want any interruption to what I've got going on. It's good enough. What I've got going on is good enough. It's fine. I don't want the hassle of having to change. And do you know what? This was the case for the innkeepers in the Christmas narrative, who were not willing to sacrifice their convenience. And it kind of hit me squarely last year, this thought for the first time. I mean, you can imagine their excuses, and we see it so often in the children's nativity, knock, knock, is there any room? And you get the wee kid who's got their one line, no. And that's it. And you've got the teachers, hoping, praying that they will remember that one line and deliver it well. But what were their excuses? Sorry, we're fully booked. Look, anything could happen. This woman's pregnant. I'm not a nurse. We don't have enough linen. It'll probably make a right mess. No, look. However, the reality of this, if we really genuinely consider it, is we have stressed out innkeepers who just didn't want the hassle. A desperate, ready to give birth girl was right on their doorstep. They could have made room. They might argue, but their inns were full. They could have made room. This is someone in a desperate situation. They could have made room. In fact, they could have given their own room. There's a start. But the inconvenience caused their hearts to grow callous. Accepting Christ, quite literally, Jesus Christ, who was born that very night, accepting Christ was too much of a sacrifice. Sacrificing our short-lived pleasures, sacrificing our plans to God and trusting his will is better. It gives lasting satisfaction. The Bible is very clear right throughout, particularly in John 10:10, where it talks about the Christian life as life to the full. There's also a curious little verse in the Bible about Jesus making our burdens light. Think about Christmas. I did my annual one day of Christmas shopping this year. I find it torturous. And actually, Rebecca has a funny memory of us in a shop a number of years ago where there was just a group of dads, and there's the changing rooms and all stuff. There's sofas beside them very tactically, and there's just a group of us dads. And apparently I just looked absolutely forlorn, a beaten man. But think about Christmas. Some love it. They absolutely love it, that Christmas shopping experience. Others hate it. What's the difference? It's the heart. And that is the same for the nativity and for Jesus and considering Jesus. It's the heart. And if you have Jesus in your life, the Christian walk is not a burden. It is not cumbersome. In fact, it is something that makes the burdens of life light. It is something that makes life better. It's something that makes life the best. And just very, very quickly, I do not want to take long at all, let's look at a few quick scenarios of sacrifice in the lives of Christians from our nativity story. In Luke chapter 2, verses 26 to 38, the angel Gabriel visits Mary and basically, to sum it up, explains to Mary that her entire life, all her hopes and plans and everything are going to be radically different. She is being radically redirected. From quiet village obscurity, an upstanding moral Jew intent on marrying a God-honouring man within her community, she finds herself pregnant outside of wedlock, something that in that time, in that culture, was shunned by society, and led Joseph to plan to divorce her quietly. Moreover, she was told what to name her child, Jesus, and she was given something to re-identify herself, that she would be the mother of the Messiah. Incredibly, that huge sacrifice that Mary, just out of nowhere, suddenly had to make. Mary's response to having her life radically redirected was recorded in Luke chapter 1, verse 38. And Mary said, "Behold, I am a servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." So bowing the knee and accepting, sacrificing her life to God's plans. Joseph the same, who after an angel visit, the angel appeared to him in a dream, when he woke from his sleep, it just tells us simply he did as the Lord commanded. The shepherds often get that wee role where they're kind of shunned in the nativity story as poor, lowly shepherds. The shepherds, their life, their money that was in their sheep. It was their trade. And what does the Bible tell us? They left their sheep on the hillside and they ran to the manger. Their priorities were instantaneously and phenomenally realigned as an angel of the Lord convinced them that the ultimate lamb, Jesus, was available to them. And when the multitude of the heavenly host had finished praising God, the shepherds went with haste, leaving their flocks to spread the good news to all who had ears. They ran down, they saw Jesus in the manger, and then they couldn't help themselves but share what they had seen. Wise men sacrificed their comfort to make a journey. But as we finish, what of God? God who sacrificed his one and only Son to come into a fallen creation. As we think about the Christian life, how dare we think about what we have to sacrifice? We are the ones who gain far more than words can express from this exchange. And Jesus, our ultimate sacrifice, came to the world, born to die. He came from heaven willingly, humbling himself more than any other has. And the bookmarks of his story are humbling himself to the manger and humbling himself on a cross, with every page between those bookmarks of his earthly story marked by prioritizing the Father's will. Yet not my will, but your will be done. And so I just want to finish just summing that all up. Where are you at this Christmas? Are you so consumed with some avenue, some idol of life, that you're saying, I'm just too busy, or I'm too content with that, and you're ignoring Jesus? Are you falling shy of living life to the full? Are you like the innkeepers who it's not even that you're rejecting God on logic, you're just rejecting him as an inconvenience, and let's not think any more about it. Think about it if you are rejecting Christ, because you are missing out on the greatest gift this Christmas. And as Christians, are we willing to sacrifice like Mary and Joseph and the wise men and the shepherds? Are we willing to sacrifice every avenue of our life this Christmas and not get caught up on having the perfect home or the perfect Christmas meal or the perfect whatever Hallmark Christmas? Let's get rid of all of that and let's sacrifice our time, cut out time, carve out time to properly come before the manger and come before the cross. Amen. Amen.